Hello and welcome to the Corporation of Receiving and Projecting News, Crap News. Today we have Katie Callum, Rebecca Cronin, Mike Bell and Jake Corns. On to our first reporter, Katie Callum.
Hello Mike. Today I'm going to be talking about the catastrophic events that took place on the 7th of July 2005, the causes of the event, the effects of the event and how it has affected the individual and the effects it has had on the services.
Can you tell me the causes of the event, please?
The Iranian newspaper articles blamed Britain and the United States' war on terror and occupation of Muslim countries for the bombings. Other causes include the supposed harassment of Muslims in European countries through Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility. It was later proven that the suicide bombers had no direct help from the organisation.
Thank you, Katie. Can you now tell me the effects?
There's different effects, but the effects on the individual are that 70 people died in this event and over 500 people were injured, and commuters' lives were turned upside down as a major network rail line was targeted. This has caused some people to quit their jobs as they are now in fear of going on the London Underground or a bus, and also some people have suffered post-traumatic stress disorder either as a result of being involved in the event and injured in the explosion, or having a member of the family or a close friend who sadly died in the explosion. Some people who were injured during the attack had limbs blown off, which has affected their lives in many ways. Their lifestyle has had to change and many suffer from depression now.
Could you now tell me the effects on the services?
The security service have had to relook and evaluate the methods in which to combat counter-terrorism, and they have had to adapt to new legislation powers. For example, how many days you can hold a terrorist in for questioning in the police station.
Okay, could you now move on to the wider impact?
There are many legal factors which impacted London, especially after the 7/7 bombings, and this was how many days you were legally allowed to hold a suspected terrorist for. It has since been decreased to 78 days, and also the cost that it would take to rebuild the station and people's lives.
Thank you, Katie, for that news on the catastrophic disaster. We'll now move on to Rebecca Cronin, who will be explaining her disaster.
I'm going to be talking about the Japan tsunami that took place on March 11, 2011. I will explain the causes of the tsunami and also the effects on the individual and public service.
Rebecca will now explain the causes of the Japan earthquake.
An earthquake hit Japan on March the 11th. The magnitude was a high 8.9 on the Richter scale. The earthquake happened when one of the Earth's tectonic plates slid under another, and this then caused a massive tsunami which has had waves as high as 30 feet.
Could you please tell me the effects on the individual?
What is happening in Japan is affecting a lot of lives. Everybody is affected by it. People's families have died due to this and have been left with no one. People have lost their houses and have been left homeless with no money and no job, as their business has also been destroyed too due to the tsunami. Some people are living in fear as they are scared another tsunami will hit that is a lot stronger and more powerful, and this time it could kill them. They have become depressed due to the fact they have not one person to call family and are developing post-traumatic stress disorder.
Could you now tell me the effects on the public services, please?
The public services around the world are all being affected in a certain way. Worldwide governments are sending help in a range of forms, from food, water and equipment to technical help in search and resource operations. The Navy is also sending in teams to help in the relief effort.
And what is the wider impact of this disaster?
There are a lot of things that will be affected by the tsunami for a long time. Businesses will lose a lot of money as buildings will take ages to be rebuilt, so the companies won't be open for a long period of time. People are also concerned about the high radiation levels and its impact on them, as the radiation levels can cause cancer and have a physiological impact. Also, due to the fact that all the roads have been demolished and washed away, they have no access to certain resources like food and water. Not only Japan will suffer from the tsunami, as Japan is a provider of certain resources around the world, i.e. Sony, Honda and Toyota. As Sony's business has been washed away, it will take a long time to rebuild, and this will cost a lot of money, and the new technologies that have been manufactured are now destroyed. Also, due to national pride, these companies just want to put a lot of money into their own society in order to have the national reconstruction.
Thank you, Rebecca.
there, you're still here with Crap News. This is Jake Corn speaking. I'm just waiting for clearance for Mike Bell, who's actually away in a foreign land at the minute. There's a little bit of interference on the line, so if you bear with me, 2 seconds. Hello Mike, are you there?
Hello, Jake. I'm here at Ground Zero. That's right, the Big Apple.
Hiya Mike. I was wondering if you could give me a brief description about the goings-on that happened on 9/11.
On Tuesday, 11th of September 2001, 2 planes crashed into the World Trade Center and 1 plane into the Pentagon. The 2 planes that hit the World Trade Center were Boeing 767s with 20,000 gallons of fuel. The plane that hit the Pentagon also had the same amount of fuel, which is thought to have been recognized as a lethal bomb. The World Trade Center let off huge explosions from each plane and caused each of the towers to collapse through them.
Well, that's got to have been absolutely devastating. What could have caused this, Mike?
We cannot say for certain what caused this disaster, as there are many possibilities and conspiracies to what happened. As considered, one of the most credible is the attack from Islamic extremist or terrorist organisation Al-Qaeda. The theory is that several men boarded 2 planes flying from Boston International Airport, aiming to be arriving at Los Angeles. Several other men boarded a plane from Newark International Airport, also aiming for Los Angeles. At 8:42 a.m., the first of the 2 planes to leave Boston International Airport hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. At 9:03 a.m., the second plane hit the South Tower. At 9:40 a.m., the flight that left Newark International Airport crashed into the west side of the Pentagon. The other possibility into what caused 9/11 was that the United States government caused the attack themselves or allowed it to happen by other agents. It is believed they did this to finally begin and have an excuse to start the war on terror. It was also to inflict huge amounts of fear into the nation and potentially produce economic gain.
That is absolutely terrible. Shocking reasons for doing such things. Can you tell me some of the effects that this had on the individual, please, Mike?
The effects on the individual in the 9/11 were massive. 2,823 people died as a result of these attacks, and this will have affected each and every one of their families. There are still 105 people that are missing from this attack, but are presumed dead with remains. For the families of these people, as well as many others, it must be terrible. The economic reverberations around the US also affected many people, over 500,000 losing their jobs in the US travel industry alone, because Americans were scared to fly. The president, which at the time was George W. Bush, actually cancelled all charter flights for almost a week through fear of another attack. These economic implications will have actually affected millions worldwide.
And what were the effects on the public services at the time?
The effect this attack has made on the public services has been massive. The UK's public services were immediately deployed to Iraq for preventing it from becoming a safe haven for breeding terrorism. The British Army, RAF, Royal Navy and Her Majesty's Royal Marines Commandos were all sent to help on the war on terror. They have now been deployed for a decade in Iraq and 8 years in Afghanistan since 2003. The UK's public services have lost 362 MOD personnel since 2001 until the 23rd of March 2011.
And is there a wider impact we can talk about on such a big subject?
There is an obvious wider impact caused by these attacks on America, and well, the entire Western world really, because these were a huge part of the reason the war on terror began. Also, these attacks changed a lot of people's opinions about Islam and started a lot of anti-Muslim propaganda in the world. Thousands of men and women have lost their lives in the war on terror since, which has made the impact even wider. There is no doubt that this has been a major incident in history and will continue to affect the world for many years to come. Major Bell out.
Thank you very much for that, Major Bell. Very insightful view into what happened on that tragic day. Sorry listeners, that's all we've got time for here at Crap News, so remember South Devon, stay classy.